This is the new Mercedes AMG GT 4-door, and it's effectively Mercedes' answer to the Porsche Panamera Turbo. So in this video, I'm going to take you for a walk around the design. I'm going to show you inside it. I'm going to obviously take you for a test drive and for a spin on the track. And before I do all that, make sure you subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon to turn your notifications on so you're alerted when we make a new upload. What you're looking at here, folks, is the most powerful engine you can currently get from Mercedes. So this 4-litre twin-turbo V8 has 639 horsepower and 900 Nm of torque in this GTS model. You can get a slightly less powerful GT version with 585 horsepower and 800 Nm, but then you don't have the bragging rights.
Despite the name, the AMG GT 4-door isn't actually anything to do with the normal AMG GT Coupe. So instead of being rear-wheel drive, it uses the all-wheel drive system from the E63S, which is handy considering the performance on tap, which I'll demonstrate now.
Seeing as this is Mercedes' most powerful car you can buy, it makes sense to do a standing quarter-mile run in it, and I'm going to use the car's special data logging equipment. So I've got it in its sportiest settings, left foot on the brake, floor the throttle, build the revs up with my pedal, then go! Oh! Come on! This is going fast. What's it going to do? And that is the standing quarter. We did it in 12.24 seconds. Yeah.
I was actually expecting it to go a little bit quicker, as I've timed an E63S at 11.2 seconds. Shall we give the GT another chance?
That's quick. Here we go. That is super fast. Woo! And that is enough of that. So what did we get? Standing quarter mile in 11.97 seconds.
That's not too bad, considering the GT weighs 200 kilos more than the E63. But then it is a little bit more special than a pumped-up E-Class.
This is a unique AMG car. You will not be able to get a normal Mercedes version, and it very much looks like an AMG, doesn't it? You've got AMG's latest grille there, and it just seems bigger and more aggressive than on its other models. It's huge. There's also huge air intakes to feed air into that 4-litre V8 engine, though the ones down here can actually shut off when the engine doesn't need cooling to aid aerodynamics. Now moving down the side, you've got some LED headlights there. They're very, very sleek, and actually if you look at the car from certain angles, it kind of reminds me of a shark. A tiger shark, no less. I'm going to be specific about my sharks. So down the sides, you've got 21-inch alloy wheels and huge brakes. These are the standard brakes, and you've got 6 piston calipers for plenty of stopping power. One thing I'm not so keen on though is this, look. What is Mercedes doing here? This fake vent. It's unnecessary because this is an otherwise stylish looking car. And it does that thing that Mercedes do lately where there's no creases, it's all just smooth. It's almost like a pebble that you find on a beach that's been washed smooth by the sea over thousands of years. This car is actually based loosely on the E-Class, but it's wider, it's longer, it's lower, and it's more aggressive. That's why they're giving it some side skirts there, make it look like it's hugging the ground. At the back here, you have got some wide haunches, make it look muscular. You've got a sloping roofline to make it look like a coupe, but look, of course, it has 4 doors, hence the name, but they're frameless doors, so it's very cool. You know, it's coupe-like, isn't it? Now, moving down the back, you've got thin LED tail lights, and you've got what looks like fake air vents there, but actually there's some little holes in there and some holes in here, so they do serve a purpose, letting the airflow over the rear wheel and exit here. I'll tell you what's also not fake. If you look down here, you've got real exhaust pipes. I mean, they're actually exhaust tips because the pipe is in there, but at least it's not fake like on most Mercedes cars. And as standard, you get a performance exhaust, so plenty of noise. There's also a little rear diffuser down here as well, once again, to smooth the airflow. But this is a big thing for me on this car. It's the fact that it's a hatchback. So yeah, a hatchback like a Porsche Panamera. Which one do you think looks the best? The Porsche Panamera Turbo or this? Click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen to cast your vote.
The AMG GT 4-door will cost from £121,000 for the normal GT and £135,000 for the higher-powered S version. But does it feel suitably expensive inside?
You might look at this interior and think it's pretty much the same as an E63's, but actually there are some very key differences. So these vents, they're like this turbine effect, which look cool, but the biggest difference is down here, this center console, which is absolutely massive. And it's actually been designed to mimic a V8 engine because you've got these little banks. There's 4 on each side of switches where you can control different things such as the volume, the stop-start system, the deployable wing at the back, the exhaust, the traction control, the suspension, the gearbox settings, and obviously your driver's modes as well. You've also got the little AMG gear selector down here, and in front of it is the new Mercedes mouse pad for the infotainment system. So it's touch sensitive and it has haptic feedback, so when you go across different icons it vibrates to let you know you're clicking the right thing. Then in front of it, this one's got some carbon fibre effect here, which covers, the cup holders. Very important those are, and then various toggle switches there for the ventilation system. And this car's got Alcantara for the interior, which makes it feel sporty, as do these wonderful sport seats. Then obviously you've got the infotainment system itself with 2 huge screens. You can control this main screen using this control pad here, or the pad on the steering wheel, and this driver's information display using the left pad, and you can go through different menus and stuff. And generally I really like this infotainment system. I think it's pretty easy to use. In terms of storage, it's actually all right in here, you know, decent practicality. The glove box is an all right size, and the door bins are big as well. That bottle, easily copes with that, and they're lined with felt as well, so things don't rattle around when you're zooming through the corners.
The GT 4-door is also good for carrying larger items too.
In case you're wondering, you could fit 395 litres in this car's boot. One thing I should point out though is that there's quite a big load lip to lift stuff over, so be careful with your back when you're loading it. There is some more storage space just under here as well if you need it. An extra 66 litres, and if I fold the rear seats down, which I can do electrically by pressing these buttons, you then have a flat load area with 1,324 litres of space. Yes, and I'm being very precise, but this is a German car and the Germans demand that you are precise.
Also, in the interests of precision, I asked someone to chauffeur me so I could see what it's really like to travel in the back of this 4-door coupe. So, is it salubrious enough?
Well, despite that sloping roofline, it's actually quite spacious, look. Loads and loads of room, I can't complain about that. I also quite like the fact that you've got these contoured seats in the back, so they feel sporty. So you do feel like you're part of the action, even if you're relegated to the rear. What's not so great though is that it does feel a bit dark. I mean, the black interior is not helping, and neither is the small, narrow rear window. So maybe I'll put this light on and it will help somewhat. Or maybe not. It doesn't do anything at all. I suppose the seat belts do brighten things up a bit, but that's about it. Another problem that I have is the fact that this seat, great sports seats if you're in the front, but they block your view if you're in the back. And if you're someone like me who gets a bit car sick, it's not great, especially when this thing can accelerate really hard. So you might get a little bit more. You might need to carry one of these if you're a bit queasy.
And that brings me on to what's not great about this AMG. Well, in addition to that unimaginative 4-door name.
A lot of people see this car and go, oh look, you've got a Mercedes CLS, nice. And you'll forever be having to say to them, no it's not. It's an AMG GT 4-door. It's completely different, way more expensive and faster. Yeah, you'll soon get sick of having to constantly explain yourself. There's no separate guide nor runners for the rear seat belt, so when you fold the back seats down, it can sometimes snag, which could get on your nerves. Look at this nasty, cheap bit of plastic down here. It's absolutely awful. It's outrageous to have it in a car which costs well over £100,000. Because the door opening is actually much lower than the roof line, a lot of people may make the mistake of not ducking when they go to get out. Ow. If you're static, you can't rev the engine past 4,000 RPM. Which is really annoying if you're sat at the traffic lights and you want to impress other motorists with how cool your car's exhaust sounds.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features, which helps make up for all this. Here's 5.
The AMG GT 4-door gets rear wheel steering as standard. So at lower speeds, the back wheels turn in the opposite direction to the front wheels, a bit like on a forklift truck, to aid low-speed manoeuvrability. But then, when you're going at higher speeds, they turn in the same direction as the front wheels for improved high-speed stability. The car has an active rear spoiler which can raise to 4 different positions depending on how fast you're going. or you can raise it fully up when you're just cruising around by pressing a button in the cabin if you think that looks cool. You can get the car with dynamic engine mounts, so when you're just cruising along, it holds the engine kind of loosely, so you don't get too many vibrations entering the cabin. But when you're going fast through some corners, it holds it tightly to improve the handling. If you have the GTS model, it comes as standard with an active rear differential, and that can send power to which rear wheel has the most grip for optimal corner exiting traction. You get the new AMG sports steering wheel, and that has special toggles here for various functions like the gearbox, the suspension settings, and the various driving modes.
Also, you can turn the car from four-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive by selecting drift mode. Though this is not recommended for road use. Speaking of which, what's the GT four-door like to drive?
Well, yeah, it feels like a proper full-fat badass AMG. You know, I've got it all in its comfiest setting, but I can tell that there's a beast lurking beneath, because all I have to do is put my foot down and it just takes off. I mean, this thing's got so much pulling power. And that gearbox, you've got 9 speeds. 9 speeds for it to think about. Yeah, it can just find the right gear instantly. And I've got to be careful because I'm in America, and on this road the speed limit is just 65 miles an hour, and yeah, you exceed it like that. So the air suspension, which you get as standard, even in comfort mode, it never feels floaty. It always feels tied down. You do feel the odd bump here and there, but it's never too bad. The steering, it's sharp, it's precise, and I love the fact that you've got this Alcantara covering. It just makes the car feel sporty. Just cruising along, you can feel that V8 engine just kind of whirring away, even with the exhaust in the quieter setting. You could do mile after mile in this thing. But then you can twiddle some knobs and make it a little bit more aggressive. So I'm going to turn this dial, put it into sports mode. In fact, why not go to Sports Plus? Adds weight to the steering, sharpens the throttle response, makes the gearbox more responsive as well, and it's put me into the stiffest of 3 settings on the suspension. But I don't want that because it's a little bit too stiff for the road. So I'm going to knock it back into the middle setting, which is fine for fast road driving. I like the fact that I can like mix and match all the different settings. So yeah, I'm going to put the exhaust in its loudest setting. I'm going to put the gearbox into manual mode, and I'm going to change the gears myself because that will let me play a bit more with the exhaust. I mean, this is silly. But it's so much fun, and that's what AMGs are all about. They're raucous, they're bad, they're crazy. They make you feel alive, and this car definitely makes you feel alive.
However, will it kill you should you dare to take it on a circuit?
So this is a very technical track. It's quite hard to learn. So to be able to confidently drive around it in a car that weighs 2.1 tons, well, it has a lot to say for how well this thing is set up. It's really predictable, really well balanced. The four-wheel drive system is great for hauling you out of tight turns, giving you plenty of grip. But even if you have it in all-wheel drive mode, there's just so much oomph. You can just get it sliding. You've got this kind of intermediate stability control offsetting, and it lets you have a little bit of slip without you getting into any trouble. Those big brakes do a good job as well. If you're doing a lot of circuit work, you're probably going to want the optional carbon ceramics. I tell you what, this is a proper thing, you know, good on the road, capable for a massive car on the track. This is a machine that can be all things to all men and all women, so long as you can afford it.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, comment on it and share it. Also click on our logo to subscribe to this channel. And if you click on the bottom right hand corner, you can actually watch more of our content. Meanwhile, click over to the right to go to our deals page to see how much money you can save on a new car at CarWow.